Hello, welcome to Spotlight, where there's something to brighten every palette.
Spotlight, brought to you by the Isle of Man Arts Council.
This evening, Death in the Mooric. Don't worry, we speak to local author Judith C. Davis. Hear how the Halle, that's the orchestra, not the comet, will be landing on the island very soon. And get the inside track on the Isle of Man's artistic scene from this year's Arts Council intern. Oh, and a reminder of a delayed dick. Stop it. As always, do get in touch with any creative artistic endeavours you may be involved in, planning, hoping to create, or would really like to put in the spotlight, be they poetic, visual, theatrical, musical, or literary, or even mime. Just email me. You know it, spotlight@maxradio.com or howardkane@maxradio.com. So off we go then, to A Death in the Mooric. Don't worry, no boats have sunk. It's a wonderful work of fiction, set on the Isle of Man, of course, from local author Judith C. Davis, weaving murder, mystery and romance, and due to be launched on the island tomorrow evening. Here she is, reading a short extract from her book, To Tempt You.
At the same time as Peter Quilliam was inspecting the grubby gas cooker in his newly leased flat in Parliament Street, Ramsey, Fenella Kelly was wielding a gleaming palette knife in a cramped attic fronting the sea. Both were absorbed, both grim-faced. Both had reached crossroads in their lives. Fenella's strong fingers pressed gouache into the canvas, scraping chrome white into impressionistic clouds. The sky came delicately to life as she layered paint over paint. The wildness of the waves were now matched in texture, and when her well-laden knife accentuated yellow ochre sand amongst the stippled grey shingle, the composition at once became intriguingly realistic. So much indeed, as she stood back, pushing a straggle of dark hair behind her ear, she could almost smell the tangy seaweed from the tide line. She smiled, disbelievingly. Out of the chaos in her head, a painting had emerged that she could be proud of at last. Gouache was not her usual medium. She didn't know why she had opted to use it. One might have thought, when so much change was in the offing, that she would stick to what she knew best, serene watercolours. But serenity was far from her prime emotion. She felt at the end of her tether. Reaching for a rag, she slid it slowly down the wide knife blade. That was the trouble with enforced change. It made you question everything, and sometimes it made you realise that what you already had was worth holding on to at any cost.
There you are. See, fascinating, painting a picture at the beginning of Death in the Mooric. An unexpected guest comes to stay. Nothing will ever be the same. Judith C. Davis in the studios with us and just reading out opening, like I said, a few paragraphs from our book there. Tell us a bit about the book then, Judith. This is something, is this a passion of yours? You've always wanted to do a story along these lines. How did you come to actually write the book?
I think the internment years have always impressed me somehow. When I was little, we used to go through Hutchinson Square regularly to get to the York Road bus depot. And my mum told me that about the place when it was Hutchinson Camp, and that a lot of famous musicians were held there, and they had newspapers and concerts, and it was very interesting. She was born in Onken, but she lived in Peel, and of course that was another internment area. She showed me where the tunnel had been attempted to cross Peveril Road, I think it was, at one time when some of the internees were trying to escape. And then Ramsey. I've lived in Ramsey quite a few times, and the marks of the post holes are still there on the Mooric Promenade, which is fascinating, I think.
Yes, real link with the past.
So the story sort of grew and developed, and I've had it within me for a long time, and it's taken a while to come to fruition. I imagine the house where the scene is set as being in one of the houses that have been knocked down, and now there are apartments there. I remember there was a big double-fronted house where all the cyclists used to stay. It isn't that one, it's one of the others, but that was it. And I love the Moorach, the atmosphere of it, the tranquility, and the Moorach Promenade. When I lived in Ramsey at one time, I used to drive to work always along the promenade and see the seabirds and the sea. And
so a perfect backdrop.
It is a perfect
for
backdrop.
Your story.
Yes, it's wonderful.
And the story, the actual writing process itself for you, is this something that comes very naturally, or you sort of needs to discipline yourself to sit at your desk or your PC or laptop every day, or do you do it in spurts late at night? How does that work for you?
No, it's during the daytime. I've always worked in the daytime. I've written since my children were small, and two of them are in their 50s, so I've written a long time. I've written a lot of novels that haven't got anywhere. And eventually I decided I'd go to short stories, and I got them off pretty well to a T. But I always wanted to get this novel particularly out because the characters I had set in my mind. And so I eventually decided to do it.
And as the story, as published here now, beautifully done as well, out a lovely cover on it, looking really nice as well. Is this story pretty much the same as the original story you had in your head, or have you had to tweak it and alter it and edit it a lot in the process?
I've had to tweak it as I went along because I wasn't quite sure. I felt there wasn't enough plot, but that I hope I've filled in now, and the characters are more rounded. And yeah, apart from a little better proofreading, it's right.
Oh, yeah, right. So someone's got to spot the mistake up there. Never.
Yeah, one or two, yes.
So have you got a taste for the longer form now with Death in the Moorach? Can you see yourself?
I've got another one finished, bar the, going through again and again, which is also set on the island. But there's so much I'd like to do with memories of growing up. Because I grew up when Douglas was a holiday town, and what's happened to the beach? It's just so sad now.
And would you stay then with a sort of similar format, similar sort of storylines, or would it be
I
something?
I think I would like to. Yes, yeah, I like light crime novels myself. I like George Bellairs. Have you read any of his? Mm-hmm. Corpse at the Carnival, which I loaned to someone I never got back. I like that period. Perhaps a little bit later, but late 50s, 60s, perhaps, yeah.
So we could see, this could be the first of many, you never know.
It could if I can manage.
Keep going. It is out now. Can people get it locally? Do they need to go online, or?
Well, it is on Amazon as a book and an e-book, but hopefully it should be in the shops.
And personally, I like having a book in my hands.
Yes. Oh, I do. Yeah, and I'm having a little launch event at the Henry Bloom Noble Library on the Thursday the 14th at 7:00, and anyone can come, but they have to ring and get a ticket. It's free, just so they know how many are coming.
Okay,
if anyone.
So they just need to ring the library, do they? Is that
just ring the library, and they'll take your name and keep a ticket for you.
Well, splendid.
And there'll be a cup of tea and a biscuit as well.
What's not to like? Well, listen, thanks very much for spending a few minutes to tell us about your book today. Best of luck with the next one, and Death in the Moorach. Like I said, you can go along. I'm sure if you pop along to Henry Bloom Noble, Judith will be happy to sign a copy if you're there. If not, you can get online, read at your leisure. But yes, a wonderful read, and just the ideal summer reading for you, should we ever get a summer. And if you want to meet Judith and perhaps get a signed copy, I'm sure she'd be pleased to indulge you. Don't forget that local book launch, 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, Thursday, at the Henry Bloom Noble Library in Douglas. Go and say hello.
Spotlight, brought to you by the Isle of Man Arts Council.
Now, we've been profiling the work and membership of the Isle of Man Arts Council here on Spotlight over the last few weeks, and will be continuing to do so over the coming weeks. But another thing they offer is an internship for a young person passionate and committed to some form of career in the arts. A great chance to get a sound artistic foundation locally here on the island. Well, earlier this week I dropped down to Arts Council HQ in the Villa Arcade to meet the woman lucky enough to have secured this year's position.
Hi, I'm Sophie Linham and I'm the Arts Graduate Intern with the Arts Council. I started at the beginning of April and it's just a year-long contract, so I've got a lot to do.
And what does the role actually involve?
So a lot of the time is planning my own projects surrounding dance, which is the course I did at university. So a lot of it is planning my project, and then I'm also helping with Halle kind of admin stuff because we've got that coming up, and just kind of getting involved with everything else that we've got going on in the team. But most of it is just kind of what I'm doing and like planning that kind of thing. Yeah.
And your background there, so you hinted at, was it at York, did you say?
It's actually at Edge Hill University, so that's kind of Ormskirk, just outside of Liverpool. That's it really.
Yeah. And what were you studying, or what are you studying?
So I did dance. I graduated in 2021, and it was a 3-year course, so I was a pandemic graduate. But I was my graduation was the day that the restrictions lifted, so I was really lucky to actually have an in-person graduation. So, yeah, it's great.
And what do you think? Because obviously there's quite a dance scene on the island.
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, so I'm 22 now, and when I started, I started with Dancers Bar, which is still going now. I still go there. And there wasn't loads of schools then that I remember, but now there's so many dance schools and people are always going away to competitions and there's loads of shows on. So it's really nice just to see that there's so many kids and adults that want to take part and just love dancing, the same as me. So it's nice.
And it does, I must admit, I agree. It seems to me over my sort of life that dancing's become more and more popular over the years. And I don't know any little girl who basically doesn't go to dance lessons.
Yeah, no, it's just so nice. I teach at theatrics as well at the moment, and I've got quite busy classes, and it's always nice to just see so many young kids wow, because I only started with ballet, and I think a lot of kids are the same, and now there's commercial, contemporary, jazz, there's so many different things, and it's nice that kind of most schools now offer that. So there's more for kids to try out. So it's just so nice to see, yeah.
And I did say that. I said rather blatantly, little girls taking it up. And maybe that's the way it used to be perceived. But did you get a lot more guys, young guys now going into the dance scene? Yeah,
definitely. I teach, I think, 3 in total. And then where I help out at Dancers Bar, I know there's 3 more there. So, slowly but surely, there's a lot more. And I know that one of the recipients of one of the Arts Council Awards was actually a male dancer. So it's really nice to kind of get them in the scene as well, yeah.
And what's your specialism? Do you prefer tap, jazz, ballet?
I actually really don't get on with tap. I obviously love...
Is that a polite way of saying you don't like it?
Well, yes. Yeah, so obviously I started out with ballet. I love ballet, but I mainly trained in contemporary dance, and that's just my favourite. I just love it. It's a combination of kind of everything, and a lot of emotion goes into that as well, and whether it's happy or sad, it's just really nice to be able to get that flow with contemporary, yeah.
And what have you thought of these art scene generally on the island since you've been working with the council here?
It's actually opened my eyes a lot. Without sounding too ignorant, I obviously being at uni didn't help, being away from the island. But I didn't realise how much there is actually going on. And obviously that's growing as the Arts Council kind of funds more projects, or as people just get more involvement in projects, whether that's with us or with, say, dance schools. And I just think it's great. There's so much all the time. And, I know personally I'm doing a lot over the summer holidays. So it's not just in term time, as you will. It's all through the year, whether that's Christmas or whether that's Easter. It's all the time. It's just great. And it's not just dance. There's musical theatre, there's drawing, creative writing, painting, drama. We just had our Connections group perform at the National Theatre. And that was great. I got to go on that trip, so... Not bragging or anything, but I've been to the National Theatre. But yeah, so there's just so much, and I think it's really great. It's a great place to grow up, I suppose, if you love that kind of thing, or even if you're just interested and want to get involved. It's really nice, yeah.
And where do you see your future then heading after a great experience here at the Arts Council? Are you wanting to sort of go into the educational side of things, funding, administrative, performance, a bit of everything?
Well, if I'm honest, at uni for the whole 3 years, I was like, I don't want to be a dance teacher. I want to perform. And then I was kind of like, oh, do I? Like, so indecisive. Obviously, I am now a dance teacher. I love it. It's great. I think I love the choreography side of it as well. So I obviously, after my year here, I do hope that I'm still teaching. I also hope that I get to choreograph kind of different things, kind of take groups away and to the UK and do like different dance festivals that maybe they've not done before. And even in my long-term future, I hope to kind of go abroad somewhere and maybe choreograph with different companies. Like, I just really love it. So kind of that side, I think. Yeah.
And an enjoyable experience. Would you recommend it to anyone being an intern with the council?
100%. I'm so glad that I applied for this job. I really didn't think I was going to get it, but now that I'm here and now that I'm working with them every day, every day is not the same as the next. It's just great. Like, even if you've never really heard of the Arts Council, if you don't really know what they do, like, just get involved. It's the best job ever. Yeah. Bias.
And if you want to find out more about such opportunities, get in contact with the Arts Council, iomarts.com. The Halle Orchestra in full flow, one of the best orchestras you will hear anywhere. And very soon, you won't even have to leave the island to hear them, as the Halle is coming here to the Isle of Man. Some fortunate souls will even get to play with them. Arts Development Officer for the Department of Education, Sport and Culture, Martin Kane, told me more.
We had scheduled to have them in 2020 and the brakes were put on that, along with many other things. But it's been great to be able to rearrange it for this year. So, we'll have the Halle themselves will be here on the 23rd of July, where they'll be playing the Villa Marina. They'll be bringing Sir Mark Elder with them as the conductor. And we also have the guest soloist Benjamin Grosvenor, who is a world-famous pianist. So it's very exciting times to be able to host that something like this locally.
It is. How much work goes into organising something like this? Because it's presumably a fairly massive operation to bring them across.
Yes, yeah. I was speaking to a friend the other night who works in the music industry in the UK, and I said, we're bringing over 90 people, so there's 90 travel requirements, 90 accommodation requirements. It's quite a lot involved. Thankfully, the Halle are fantastic themselves. They do these sorts of things all the time, and so we have very specific people to deal with very specific areas. And it's been brilliant, working with our colleagues at Villa Gaiety as well, being able to accommodate things like this, because of course you can't, with this many people, you can't just have dressing rooms. So we have sort of areas within the complex where the orchestra are able to be and sort of store their equipment and things while they're playing. But yeah, it's been a big challenge. The closest thing I'd done to this was probably a 12-piece band, bringing them over. So 90 is a little different.
It is quite an undertaking. If someone's never been to a symphony orchestra before, again, I think it's a rare chance, certainly on the island here, to go and see one. The music is going to be accessible, and I think unless you've really experienced a professional symphony orchestra in full flow, you don't really know what it sounds like, and basically the sound is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a lot of people may not realise is that the Royal Hall in the Villa Marina is actually designed for orchestras. And so with that sort of shape and the way that the roof goes up, it's all there to help the sound of an acoustic orchestra. So, as you say, to have not only a full orchestra, but some of the calibre of the Halle, it's really kind of going to be a once in a rare time experience to go and see live.
Also, we should stress that there's an educational element to this. So there's also the performance, so a great opportunity to see a world-class orchestra performing here on the Isle of Man, as you say, in sort of purpose-built settings almost, in somewhere like the Villa Royal Hall. But also there's this educational aspect, so they're actually encouraging young people to get involved, thinking about playing, whether it's classical or not, but really there's this whole thing of engaging people and the younger people to take a love for music and a love for learning music and playing instruments.
Yeah, definitely. So as the Arts Council are an arm's length body of the Department of Education, Sport and Culture, and as part of this, we always seek to make things have an educational angle to them. So while we'll have the concert on the Saturday, it's for the general public, we do have what's called a Halle Come and Play opportunity, which is on the following day, on the Sunday afternoon, and that gives school children of any ability the chance to bring their instrument along and literally come and play with the Halle. And so there's a programme, we have some rehearsal schedules set up. You can come along, run through the music, and then the Halle will play, and you can literally play along with them. And it's very exciting this time round. So the theme is the Americas. So the whole program is centered around music from North America, South America, Central America. And I know that it's going to include things like Fanfare for the Common Man and Barber's Adagio for Strings, which is just a remarkable piece of music.
It is very moving indeed, and you think just what a great opportunity, particularly if you are a budding musician and thinking perhaps of going further with your musical studies, maybe doing it at university, maybe wanting to be a professional musician. What an opportunity to actually play with the Halle.
Oh, it's incredible. What we see is that a lot of music students will go to places like the Royal Northern College of Music, which is based in Manchester. That's where the Halle are based. So if you do end up playing at this concert and then wanting to go on and you end up going to somewhere like the RNCM, you're at the Halle's home, so to be able to sort of say at a younger age, you did this, is a real help for the future.
Terrific stuff. So it is, as you say, coming up a bit later on this summer. 23rd of July is the concert, and that's the Saturday. The Sunday is the Come and Play. Details again, so if people are wanting to either book tickets for the concert itself or get involved in the Come and Play, what's the best way?
So the tickets are available from the Villa Gaiety box office, villagaiety.com, or you can go down to the building itself. For more information about the Come and Play, you can go to the Arts Council website, which is iomarts.com. There you will see more information about what's involved in the Come and Play, and there's also a sign-up form if you're interested in taking part.
Now, a quick reminder about this. The Service Players production of Dick Barton's Special Agent, which had to be postponed at the 11th hour due to COVID. It's now on this coming week at the Gaiety Theatre, opening this Thursday, that's the 15th, and running through till Saturday evening. Don't miss it, particularly if you like lots of double entendre, ridiculously complicated dastardly plots, baddies in lovely dresses with alluring foreign accents, and old men in thongs. That's about it for this week. Don't forget, if you want to hear anything again, go to manxradio.com and download the Spotlight podcast. Listen at your leisure. Drop me a line with any artistic thoughts or ideas. Stay creative, and I'll see you next week. Cheerio.